My guest today is a TV and radio personality, actor, community activist, dance studio owner, hold up, entrepreneur, and more. She is a true force to be reckoned with a big heart and an even bigger story. Please welcome my guest today, Miss Ebony Steele, to intimate details of Dr. Tiff. Ebony!
Hello, Dr. Tiff, and the crowd goes
Hi.
wild.
And the crowd goes wild, honey, because everybody, listen, if someone didn't recognize your name, because let's be honest, there are a couple of
Okay.
Ebonies out there, right? If they didn't recognize your name, they know that face and they know this voice. You
Oh, well,
are
that's very
a
sweet.
but it is so the truth because I'm telling you, I'd asked someone earlier today. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be interviewed." They were like, "The name kind of sounds familiar." I was like, "Listen, just look her up. Once you see her face, I know you know who she is. And I know because you have such a distinctive, sexy, raspy, just beautiful voice
Oh,
that
girl.
you know it. You know it. You got
Well,
to
I,
claim it.
I appreciate that. Let me tell you what's funny, Dr. Tiff.
What's
I would
funny?
say like 80% of the time when I go through a drive-through, after I
Mm-hmm.
place my order, let me get the grilled chicken sandwich and the
Mm-hmm.
salad, and they'll be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's 12. Well, you know how much prices are now. That'll be
Yes.
1864, sir. Please drive around.
The
So
the
nine times out of 10,
1800.
yeah, it's sir a lot, even when telemarketers call. They
Are
say
you
I sound like a
serious?
very kind gay black man.
I want
Yeah, I do.
if I close my eyes,
We all have
okay.
our things. Yes. Yes. So yes, cheekbones are my grandmother's. Voice is just what it is, and God is good. Can I just say that He decided when He
Amen
put me
and
together, or put
amen.
all of us together, He made us special. So this is what you
Yes.
get with me, and what you get with you is someone that is kind, um, open, undeniably just
Don't even start.
generous, well versed, and
Don't even start.
definitely a safe space. So the
I
minute
hope
I
so.
met you, I felt that way. Look at me scratching it. You can tell I'm
I know.
comfortable with you.
I know. And it's so funny because I was gonna say, like, we should probably start. Like, I ain't known this woman but for a couple weeks, okay? I met her at a Christmas party, at a holiday party that I crashed, okay? I don't know if you know this. A friend of mine, Parker Wallace, who's a friend. You might know Parker. You know Parker from your days at Coffee with America. She would come on and do
Yes.
cooking segments. Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
She would be, yes, yes, one of the facilitators.
yes, yes. So
Right.
she's an amazing friend of mine and she's a friend of the podcast. She's been on with us a couple times and she's like, "Do you want to go to this? I'm in town. You want to go to this holiday party with me? You might make some excellent connections." She was not wrong. And I said, "Sure, I'll go. I'll go." So I get there. I get to the hotel and Parker, I hope she doesn't I know she's not going to mind me saying this because she was completely safe, but she's like, "I can't, I don't feel well. I might have the thing that we're all afraid of getting." And so she took a test and she was like, "I can't go to this party." She's like, "But you go." And so I went. I never saw her. Like, we were always in passing. And, she just called me on the phone before I got there and she was like, "Bypass me and go straight to the party." Don't even see
Wow.
me
And I'm
anything.
so glad you did,
I'm
for
glad that
us
I
to be
did
able to,
too. I'm
yes,
so glad because I think we've run in similar circles around the Atlanta community doing the things that we
I
do,
think so.
but I've never actually met you. And actually, I thought about this the other day because I think you and I are potentially
Don't say
you and I
cousins.
no.
Oh,
Well, wouldn't that
potentially
be
what?
awesome though?
You know, people,
You and I
black people always say, I think you
no,
might be my
you
cousin.
might be my cousin. No, no, this is even better than being cousins. I think you and I might potentially be naked in the same book.
We might be what?
Naked in a book.
Naked.
Yes, Naked. Did you do Dr. Jackie's Perfect Imperfections? That book, it was like a coffee table book for breast cancer
Yes.
awareness.
Oh, I was in that book.
I was in that book too, girl.
You were in that book too?
Yes,
And we
darling.
were bucket
Yes.
naked. You
Yes.
all in the name of breast cancer research. I remember that,
Yes.
Dr. Tiff. Wow,
Yes,
Dr.
yes,
Jackie,
yes.
that's a great soul, isn't it?
Yes, she is. She's also a friend of the podcast, and yeah, we've had some great conversations. She was on a few weeks ago, last season, and we talked about the O shot, which was a very fun episode. And she tried her best to convince me to get a shot in my clitoris and G spot in order to have better
Did you
orgasms.
do it?
However, I did not do it. I did not. I don't like needles, and a needle in my clitoris is really not something that I feel like the Lord has over my life at this point. When he
So you
called
don't like,
me,
okay, a
huh?
needle in your clitoris. So
Right,
needless to say that you don't have any piercings.
I do. I used to have a tongue piercing. Uh, uh, you can see kind
Okay.
of the indentation of
Let
there.
me see. Do that
That was,
again. Uh-huh. Okay.
that's what
Uh-huh.
it was.
No
Um,
cavities.
mm-mm,
I wish I could do that. My
um,
tongue has never been long.
is it long?
No,
Oh, I didn't think with my. Oh yeah, no.
it doesn't go far.
The well, mine does.
She has a very happy husband at home.
I do. And so the thing is, if I was having problems with orgasming, I would totally go down that road. But I don't feel like that's not my story. Okay, that might be somebody else's. That part ain't mine. Got my own set of issues, but that
Right.
part ain't mine. So don't need to do that. Um, and don't want to ask. Like I don't want to ask for trouble.
Well, let's
Yeah.
talk about that for a second. I'm glad you brought up, and I keep
Hold
forgetting
up.
that
Who
what you
interviewing
do.
who?
When
Okay.
you talk
Yes. Go
about,
ahead.
well, orgasms, let's talk
Yes.
about, and help me,
Yeah.
because I think I've just learned some stuff by trial and error,
Okay.
getting to the age that I am
Yes.
now. So
Yes.
with orgasms, there's an internal and external orgasm.
It
I'm
can be.
asking.
There's so many. No, there are so many different types of orgasms that you can have
Okay.
based on a lot of different things, but let's just say based on the type of stimulation. There are some of us who orgasm very easily through clitoral stimulation, right? So you can just touch it, brush against it for some of us, and immediately goes off. Others of us are stimulated, like to be stimulated internally and have, really robust vaginal orgasms or G spot orgasms. Some people get stimulated and have orgasms from anal stimulation. The perineum, the tissue that's like in between the vagina and the anus, that is very sensitive for some folks, and they get very
Between
intense organ from the vagina
the
and the
vagina
anus. Yes, between
and the
those two.
anus, some people, I think they call that the taint,
The taint, because it
because
ain't.
it really
It
taints nothing
taint,
there. It's in
right.
between
It
those two
taint the
sexual
asshole
organs.
and it taint the vagina. Yes, right in the between.
It is so funny how you can hear things one time and it sticks with you. Somebody probably
Yep.
I probably heard taint at the age of 13 and have never forgot
Yep.
it.
No, because why would
Which
you?
one? So, which one would you say, pound for pound, if you did,
hmm
a survey, which
hmm
one is most intense between all of those types of orgasms?
Ooh, intensity. Intensity is a great. So that's really hard because it's so different for everybody. I will say the most elusive. I'll say probably the most elusive is probably the G spot orgasm because you kind of got to find the G spot. You know where the vagina is. You know where the clitoris is.
Where is
You
the
got to.
G spot?
The G spot is about 2 inches up in the anterior wall of the vagina. I'm gonna stand up for a second so I can show you.
Okay.
Hold on, let me move this out of the way. I'll move this up too. So I'm standing up, right? Belly
Nice
button.
tummy.
Thanks, doll. Thanks. So belly button's here. Vagina
Right.
is down. Oh, let me move this down. Okay. Vagina is here. So if I were a guy, right, and use these two fingers
Uh-huh.
and stuck it up here, the G spot is about right here.
Okay.
Okay. So, and again, here's my belly button. G spot's probably about right here. It can be a little different um for women because some people have long torsos or whatever. But if you think about it, the barrel of the vagina is only about 4 inches long. So you don't
As
have
far,
a
as far
lot.
as 4 inches deep, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. All 4 inches
So
long.
that's why I've
These
heard that really a man can have like 3-inch penis and still make you orgasm. Because the G spot is
motion
really
and
only
ocean.
2 inches up in there.
Yeah, it's only about an inch to 2 inches up there. You're only going to get about 4 inches up anyway. So, like, if you're schlonging with, like, 8 inches, like, only half of that's really going to get in because
But how? Okay,
it's
so
only so much a sister can take.
right, so if we're only 4 inches deep, I
Hmm.
know that I've seen. I'm just
Hmm.
gonna say it, like porn or
Yes.
videos where it seems
Yes.
like if a man has 8 inches plus, that it's disappearing. Is he damaging us or them?
No. No. One would hope not. But you know how the skin on the penis is like flexible, can I say?
Right.
So no,
Yeah.
nothing. He's not gonna break anything on himself or you. But yeah, and that at 4 inches, remember that is an estimate. Everybody's body is different, so some
Uh
might
huh.
have a little bit more room. Some that canal may be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, just based on the individual. But
Interesting.
yes, but the G spot orgasm is a lot more elusive because a lot of people don't know where they are. It may not be as pronounced or profound as others, so the stimulation pattern might be different in some women as opposed to others. The orgasm that is usually most easy and most consistent is the clitoral orgasm because there are
Yes.
so many more nerve endings in the clitoris. And the clitoris is interesting. This is such the crazy conversation. This is not where this interview is supposed to be going.
No, but I
Um,
love it because I'm
I
sure if I'm
know, I know.
asking, I'm sure a lot of other
Other
people
people
have these
have the
questions
same
too.
questions, right?
Right.
So the clitoral orgasm. So the clitoris is built up of a whole bunch of different nerve endings, more nerve endings than anywhere else on the body. And it is the same embryonic tissue as the penis. So if you think about how much sensation guys get out of their penis, we're getting that same amount of sensation right at right at the clitoris. So it doesn't take a lot of stimulation for us to become more aroused and for that arousal to then turn into orgasm. So a lot of people, especially like with toy play and things like that, they target the area of the clitoris because it's such an easy orgasm, an easy A, if you will.
It really it is. And I think that, and we talked about this at the Christmas party. And I think the
Hmm.
question, let me see if you remember this question, Dr. Tiff,
Uh-huh. I
because I
was thinking so.
asked
I forgot.
pound for
Uh-huh.
pound,
Hmm.
who enjoys
And you
sex
love
more?
saying pound
Who
for
does it
pound too.
pound for pound, right? Inch for inch.
Yeah.
Who enjoys sex more? Is it women or men? Because it seems like men enjoy it
Mm.
more, or is it just that men are more verbal about it? Or do they just have more of a sex drive?
Hmm. I feel like it's all of those things, and it also depends on the stage in which we are in life. I will say that I have been someone who, like, I feel like at different stages in our lives, right? We may find ourselves being the higher desire partner, meaning we have a higher sex drive or higher desire than our partner. And then at other stages in our life, our sex drive may be in the tank, and our partner is the one that really is kind of driving it. One thing that's really interesting, and I heard this when I was when I was in school, and I always kind of have found it to be true. The person with the lower sex drive controls the sex in the relationship. The person with the lower
Oh,
drive
that makes
controls the sex in the
sense.
relationship. Because if that person doesn't want to have sex, generally they're not having sex. They're not initiating. They're not. So things happen because of the needle moves because of the higher drive person that's like wanting to,
Sure.
but the real person in control of whether we have sex or not, how we have sex, the positions, how long, all of those things is the person with the lower desire. And when I say lower desire, it doesn't mean that your desire is clinically low. It just means that it's lower than your partner's at this time. And that could be because like maybe you just had a child, and the last thing you want is another person tugging on you. Perhaps you
Because you're
have
not
some
feeling sexy. You're not feeling
you're not feeling
attractive.
sexy or aroused. Yeah, perhaps you have some undiagnosed or unattended to depression or anxiety around sex. Perhaps there's been some sexual trauma in your past causing you that flares up to you for you anytime you want to be intimate. It could be something like perhaps you don't like your partner. that could cause your sex desire to be low. So those are all the things that I look for in when people come in and they complain about sex desire being off. We have to figure out what that desire discrepancy is about so that we can fix it. But I don't think that there is, systematically, men are always going to be higher than women because there's so many things that impact our desire and motivation to be sexual. There are mental health issues, there are physiological issues. Hormones are a big deal, and especially as we age as women,
Yes.
we may find that, like, oh, my sex desire is so low. Get on the right hormone replacements, and honey, they can't it cannot be matched,
Right.
so and that's a stage of life thing, a timing thing, a hormonal thing. So there are so many different areas and ways that we can be more attentive to our level of desire and make
Mm-hmm.
those changes that are necessary.
It's so interesting that you brought up a point when you say that the person with the lower sex drive
Mm-hmm.
actually,
Mm-hmm.
uh, drives the sexual relationship. And it reminds me of something that my grandma told me a long time ago, that
Oh, what she
I
say?
think that women don't realize how much we drive relationships
Oh
from the
yeah.
very beginning, and we give that power away. Case in
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
from the first middle school dance, the guy asks us, can I have this dance? From the time we start dating,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
guy asks us. So really the ball is always in our court as women,
Mm-hmm.
because we're constantly being
Yeah.
asked, hey, will you go with me to the prom? Will you, can I have this
Yeah.
chance? Will you give me a chance? Can we go, will you marry me?
Yes.
In every part of how we even move
Yes.
through a relationship, women have the power, but some kind of way we give it up. I'm guilty.
We don't recognize it. We don't recognize the power.
Right.
We don't recognize the power that we hold because we're being asked. We're thinking that they're being what, gentlemen, or they're being,
Mm-hmm.
they're being courteous or whatever. But what we have to do, and I think it's such an important conversation to have, and especially with young girls, right? That you are the one that holds the power. You have it. They
Right.
want you. You don't even have to look their way. They are coming because you have something that they
Right.
desire. And once we
Right.
start to recognize and own that we are the sauce. We are the specials. We are what makes this thing work. Then, there's no stopping us in relationship, in life, in business, in anything.
Right.
So
So
we are,
interesting, because coming out of that,
yeah.
well, in the first quarter, my book, Queen Bee, is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And the book
Oh,
is not Queen Bee in the sense of Lil
yes,
Kim or Beyonce, but mine
yes,
is
yes.
Queen Bee, B-E. Queen, be forgiving. Queen, be
Mm,
able to recognize your
wow.
worth. So it's daily,
Mm-hmm.
um, almost like a reminder,
Mm-hmm.
affirmations, but confirmations, to know that as
Yeah.
to be a queen and how to pass down our crown. We wear it every day, it
Ah,
sits here, but
yeah.
understanding that we have the power inside and outside as a queen, and we need to take that and pass that down to our princesses, our
Absolutely.
other generations,
Yeah.
because we're born with it. It's
We're
so
born
great
with
to
it.
know that
Yes.
even from a spiritual standpoint, if we realize that we are already born with everything that God wants for
Royalty.
us, He died
Mm-hmm.
for us to have it. And if we
Mm-hmm.
reach deep inside, we can have all of those things that we want. And as women, we were born as queen. We were
Yes.
all made individually and specially made with our own pedigree. If
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
unlock that or be open to receive everything that's already there, just waiting to come out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead and give the people a word, why don't you? I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, because
Thank you. You just
recently,
inspired me. You
well,
just inspired me.
I've been awakened. It's so crazy how you can sit and realize where you are in life, and then look back and realize 2 or 3 years have passed. But unless your eyes are open, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
different lessons that to be taught during those seasons that you may have ignored. That you're like, why is this happening to me? Because I'm the
Mm-hmm.
queen of woe is me. But wow, that happened because of this.
Mm-hmm.
That happened because of that. But if we all just have the patience, the one thing about having faith, and that's a season that I'm in right now, going into 2024, is having
Mm-hmm.
faith. It's so tough because there's no evidence sometimes that it's going to happen. And the
Mm.
way that we
That
are built as
that
humans, we research things. we look, okay, this happened because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're in a season now, we are trying to get somewhere, and right now we don't see how that's going to happen, that's a lack of faith. That's when our flesh is coming
Mm-hmm.
in. There has to be a higher
Mm-hmm.
power that everybody
Yes.
believes in, that that drives you. If you
Yes.
know that you can get up every day and move around and complete
Yeah.
all the tasks that you want to, and complete them successfully without a higher power, without God, without whoever what, hats off to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It ain't working that way. It ain't working that way. Um, we all live by, I believe, we all live by the grace of God, and making sure that, like, He's out there making these crooked places straight. And even though we may go through the things that we go through, we're going through that because of what's on the other side that we can't see, that thing
And
that
we
we're
can't
having faith
sing.
for. There are muscles that need to be developed, there are skills that need to be learned, yeah, all of those things are teaching us what we need to learn in this moment so that we are better prepared for the next. And in that, right, I know that, and one of the reasons why it was so important for me to have you on is because I know you've made some really dramatic shifts in your life that must have come from somewhere. Because you're a walking test, you're a living, breathing, walking testimony. You're someone who has, we know, has publicly kind of gone through a lot,
Sure.
including breast cancer as a survivor. How many years are you in your survivorship?
16
How many
years
years
survivor.
survivorship are you?
Thank you so much.
Oh
And
my
a big
God.
shout out to all of the
Yeah.
survivors,
Yeah.
thrivers out there. And you may think, oh, I know someone
Yes.
that had breast cancer or any type of chronic illness. I know someone, and I was there. I saw them go through it. Well,
Yeah.
that makes you a thriver and a survivor as well. Because if you're the friend of someone or relative holding the hand of
Mm,
someone as they go through something like a cancer,
mm,
then you went through that too.
mm,
So give yourself a round of applause, because
mhm.
it takes a lot to be on
Yeah.
either side of those.
Mm,
And hats off, and let's praise even the doctors that the Lord gives
yeah.
and instills those powers
Oh my
into
God.
to
Yeah.
help and heal us. And even you, Dr. Tiff, as a doctor.
Yeah.
So I think we're all a part of this
Yeah.
puzzle in the world, just trying to make it. And we all need each other.
Yeah, we
And
absolutely do. We can't do it without community.
no,
And
and I know
yeah,
you're
and that's
alluding
one thing I've
to,
been really go ahead.
yeah, speaking about things that I've been through.
Oh, what I was gonna say is, oh, sorry.
You
Sorry,
good.
what I was gonna say is, we can't do this thing without community. And that is why platforms such as this is so important to me, because I think that even the conversation that we had, that was unplanned, by the way, about sex and sexuality, I believe those things come into conversation and come into our awareness because somebody needs to hear it. Somebody needs to learn from it. You said it yourself. If you had that question, there's probably 10 other people listening that
Sure.
have that question. And how do we know that divinely God didn't place that person on this earth in this moment, tuned into whatever podcast channel they wanted, because they needed this little piece of information, this gem of wisdom that you were about to lay out. So nothing is by mistake. Everything
At
is by
all.
design. Even if I never get to a single question on this sheet,
Have you
we have
not?
done exactly what we were supposed to do. We've
Well,
done
I think,
exactly what we
yeah,
were supposed to do. So anyway, yes, let's talk about it though. Let's talk about some of the more recent things, the more recent let's say revelations that you've come about, like that, damn it, I need to change some things in my life. What has that been for you?
well, my most recent revelation, I know for sure, is going to be an elevation, something that's going to not just
Woohoo.
elevate me, but the life of others. And I've asked God over, I've always asked, even when I started radio over, well, almost 20 years ago, I asked him, what is my purpose? Because I started in Birmingham, Alabama. And then when I got the call to go to
Mhm.
Dallas to be on a nationally syndicated show, got to realize I was being heard one month in one city, and within the next year, over 80 cities at one time. Lord, what is my purpose? Well, he showed me all right. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their lifetime. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer, but I realized, okay, got to be careful what you ask for. But I realized my purpose at that time was to be that person, for not just for Black women, but for all women. If I can still hear her on the radio every day or see her still move about, then maybe that diagnosis isn't so bad. It gives me the strength and the courage to move
Yes.
on. And I hope that that's what the 16
Right.
years of me having and still being, cancer free, having that diagnosis. But most recently, my struggle in the past few years, I've found that things that I've wanted to happen, things in my career, people have asked, where's Ebony? What's going on with her? And there was an incident that began to kind of shake and rock my world about 10 years ago. And I really started addressing it about 2 or 3 years ago, as far as me and alcohol. And it came to me that, and I realized, because I've tried to go so many ways around it, I'm a better person when I am sober. So for the year 2024, I have made a vow to every day wake up and say, and every day not drink. And the reason I do it like that is because I said, I'm never going to drink again, ever, ever, ever in my life. Well, I can't say that, because if somebody was standing right here and, was going to take the life of my sister and said, hey, you got to have a drink before you, or else I'm going to have a drink. I know that's far fetched. But I try to give myself realistic expectations. And I know that if I can, for the next 24 hours, say I'm not going to drink, then that says something. The past 2 years, I've really, really worked at it. I've had some good dry runs.
A lot more doable.
Right. Very, very much so. Some dry runs. And
Yes. Amen.
I've actually gone away
Amen.
2 times to try to work on this matter for myself. And you may say, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal was a couple of broken fingers,
Ooh.
a collarbone that was broken, eye socket falling down, missing cell phones, not remembering where my wallet is, not remembering. Dr. Tiffany, right now, I know that one of the most prideful, or one of the things I'll hold dear, is even in this moment right now talking to you. So I'm talking about times where I have had been to my sister's wedding or been to a friend's baby shower and may not have much memory of it because of the fact that I was either in 3 states all the time, about to drink, in the midst of being tipsy or intoxicated, or coming out of it. And for those that don't know, alcohol stays in your system about 72 hours, 3 days. So even if I'm clear and clean for 2 days, I'm still not 100% ever, because I'm still going in this revolving circle and cycle. And I'm a better Ebony when I'm sober.
What was it for you that was kind of like last straw? I cannot live like this anymore.
What was the last straw for me? There were a lot of them. So there were straws. There's been many along the way. One that resonates, I think, for sure, is the not the memory, not remembering things. Now, mind you, I'm a 16-year breast cancer survivor, so I went through chemotherapy, and they have something that they call chemo brain, and that's when you don't remember a lot of things. You're kind of,
a lot of fog.
So that even exists with me. I have a little fog, and and I have to take something for that to just to work on my memory. Well, then you add on top of that, alcohol, that we know, oh my God, what happened last night? So, remembering things that I need to remember and forgetting things that I need to forget. But also in my relationships with people.
Let's talk about that. Like, how did alcohol impact how you related to people, whether that be personal relationships or even working relationships? How do you think alcohol impacted your relationships with people?
When under the influence of alcohol, or I call it when I'm in heavy addiction or active addiction, antsy, you're very agitated. and you're aggravated because
Mm.
everything around you is interrupting what you really want to be doing. And that that's drinking. Doing
Yeah.
morning radio, I was a person that went in at 5:30. The radio show starts at 6. We're clear by 10:30. So if you meet somebody for
Mm.
lunch and you have a drink, a drinky drink, and it's 11,
Mm-hmm.
12, and you sit there to 3 o'clock, you go home, maybe do what you got to do, check your emails, check your mail, do a little work, and you have an event that you have to be at that evening that's at 7, and then you're drinking again. It's just this revolving cycle. And
You're having more alcohol than water or coffee
oh,
or anything else. Yeah.
absolutely. With alcohol,
Yeah.
I just
Mm-hmm.
tried one day and I kept a note book of how many times alcohol was brought into the forefront or placed in front of me in a single day. And I think
Mm.
that it came out that number to be 23. Every
Oh my
movie that I
goodness.
watched had a scene where someone was going to a bar.
Ah,
Even if I'm watching TV,
yeah.
there's a commercial where they're showing the
Yeah.
real housewives and they're sitting having wine.
Yeah.
Once again, this is Ebony Steele's choice. No one else. And let me say that if I could drink like everyone else and have a good time and still be sane and still not say things that maybe insult people and still have a memory, then I probably would continue to do it. It is like a death. It's
Right.
it's a changing of something. I'll always remember when I turned 16 and got a car. I'll always remember when I graduated high school. I'll always remember when I graduated college. I'll remember when I got married. I'll remember when I got divorced. And I'll remember when I quit drinking alcohol. It's major if it's something that you do.
It is.
Anyway, back to the 23 times that I was saying that, in a single day. It's on every TV commercial. It's going to be a beer commercial.
Absolutely.
If you're driving down the
Yeah.
street, you're going to see restaurants that have, happy
No, I
hour.
was watching The Young and the Restless the other day, and which is like, I mean, I've just watched it all my life, but someone came in the room, and as soon as they walked into the house, they made a beeline for the bar, got their scotch, no ice, no nothing, and knocked it back because they had had a hard day. And my husband was in the room when I was watching it. I was like, who does that? Who walks into the house? And the first thing, like, she hadn't even put her coat down,
Right.
threw her cell phone on the couch, and she's like, "Oh, I need a drink." I'm like, "What a life!"
And it's
Is that
something
how it's
we
yeah.
we do it to celebrate. We drink to celebrate. We drink, so that means we drink when we're happy, right? We drink when we're sad
Mhm.
to feel better. We drink when we're
Yeah.
bored.
Yeah.
If it's a birthday, if it's a
Yeah.
weekend, if it's
Yeah.
a, and
Yeah.
so after a certain amount of time, and alcohol affects different people in different ways. Some people are like a happy
Right.
drunk. Some people are just quiet. Some
Yeah.
people are mean. I get very aggressive, very assertive. If it's a conversation, I may not be talking like that, but it's listen to me. It's
I know.
about me. And it's not until
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
that you look
Yeah.
back at videos of yourself or people tell a story, you don't remember it. And you're
Mhm.
like, wow. Dr.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
Yeah.
another thing that I
Mm.
also realized in looking at people around me, there are some relationships, romantic relationships, where the only thing that people have in common, I'm guilty
Mm.
of it, is the fact that we drank.
Mm.
We met at a
Mhm.
club, a party, or a bar, or a restaurant, had a drink, want another one?
Mhm.
Yes. Hey, we want to
Mhm.
meet up tomorrow? Yeah, why don't we have lunch? Do we have lunch and then have
Mhm.
drinks then? Then we may have dinner that week.
Mhm.
And it's just almost like without even thinking about it, the pattern of such said relationship, and this happens even with people that smoke weed too, you know,
Right. Right.
and they
Right.
realize, or
Right.
you realize, if you take this away, what do we really have in
Yeah.
common? If we went to
Yeah.
McDonald's where there
Yeah.
was no bar, or went to, I was going to say Cracker Barrel, but Cracker Barrel has alcohol now. But
Do
if we,
they?
yeah, you can get mimosas, you can get, right. So
Ooh,
it's
with my fried chicken. Okay.
yeah. Um, and there is nothing, I have nothing against it at all. I want to make that clear
Mhm.
because before I decided to remove alcohol, one thing I could not stand is a goody two shoes that doesn't drink, that looks down on other people that do, you know.
Right.
But
Mhm.
this is just for Ebony. And I've been told
This
that
is
my
a personal
testimony and my
choice, something
ministry
you've
is
had to
for
do.
girls or women that want to stop, want to stop. I feel that I can be there and be a voice. And I want to see God. I want people to see God work in me. I'm almost calling this the Watch This Project, because if anybody knows me or knows that I've been the life of the party, always a fun time, always going to laugh, going to have a good time, but didn't have my first drink till 26, interestingly enough. I was a designated driver always in college. But in this little last window of time, a lot of the bad things or things that I wish would have turned turned out a different way in my life, alcohol has been involved.
Alcohol has been involved. So you recognize that the pattern of some of the more negative aspects, more negative endings to things or relationships or whatever, alcohol was somewhere around there lurking, making making its presence. What type of support do you feel like you need at this stage? Because how long have you been sober?
I've been working on sobriety strong for the past 2 years. Me definitely
Mhm.
putting my foot down before and within the 2 years. There's
Yeah.
probably been one time that I said, and this is right when I came back from 28 days at rehab, and I went three and a half,
Mhm.
4 months.
Mhm.
And when I drank the first time after that,
The
this
first
is
time.
what gets you. It wasn't even like a craving. It was like, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I
Let
really
me just see. Yeah.
have the drink. I'm like, oh, that
Mhm.
ain't. I can, okay, if I want to drink, I see now that I can do it and be okay. Well, that was a Friday. So the Saturday is the next day. Hey, Eb, want to go to brunch? On me. One of my girls, okay, okay. Oh,
Mhm.
mimosa comes with it? Yeah, I had the drink yesterday, even after. So
Mhm.
let me have this. The next thing you know, it's Sunday, having one
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
after church, after brunch. And then slowly
Yeah.
it becomes
Yes.
a part of the life. In the first week
Creeps
or
in.
two, it's okay. But then it's that one night that you may binge, and then I may have to get up early. See, the problem is,
Yeah.
well, I was going to say not so much when you're drinking at night, because that becomes a problem too. But if it takes you till two
Yeah.
o'clock the next day to really get your wits about you, but you're at work at 6 or 7, then what is my
Yeah.
productivity really looking
Problem.
like? Some people say I'm a perfectionist
Right.
overachiever, so I may be landing, within 80%, 80, make it an 85, a B plus on the test. But just imagine if 100% of me
Right.
was there, or I remember what 100% of me felt like
Right.
before I had a drink.
Right. And I think because some of us have drank for so long, we don't recognize the change in us or what we are like when we're not drinking. Some of us have used alcohol so much socially as a crutch, maybe for social anxiety, maybe just to, take the edge off or relax, or maybe to avoid or to become more of ourselves or become more of the life of the party, whatever. But we don't necessarily have that self assessment. So I think that's so wise and so interesting that you took the time to like look at, like, what am I like with alcohol, but also what am I like without? How much more productive could I be without drinking? And then assessing kind of where you are, how you're feeling. People don't really look at, like, we think about the drinking and feel that drunk feeling or whatever that looks like and however alcohol manifests for you, but like the feeling of sobriety and what that difference is for us. Tell us what that feels
Oh,
like, what sobriety feels like for you.
sobriety. Let me tell you the difference with sobriety with me. And this may sound corny, but it's true. I find myself smiling more because of the maybe the thoughts in my head
Mm,
are eh, uh, just clear. Um, I One of the things
mhm,
too that I'm making sure that I do is to build myself up physically. That has to do with the removal of alcohol, mentally and spiritually.
mhm,
Part of that physical part too, as well. Excuse me, is walking every day. Walking every day, just quiet time to myself. And there
mhm,
is my mom's nickname is was Red. My mom passed 8 years ago, and we used to always say when there was a red bird outside
mm,
that that's mom saying hello. Well, when I walk now, 2 days in a row, I realized that there was a red bird in a tree that's like 5 houses down from mine. So now It's a mental thing that I look forward to, that when I take my walk every day, somewhere between 3:30 and 4:30, I look for that red bird. And it makes me happy that it's there. Before,
You look for the red
when
bird.
I was either
Wow.
in one of those three stages, about to drink, in the midst of drinking, or coming out of drinking, I didn't focus on things like that. I'm always playing catch up with stuff I didn't do the day before. So I need to do this, and it's agitation. It's not, when they say stop and smell the roses, I guess I'm stopping and watching the red bird. I didn't take out time to do things like that. I actually want to be present. Um, when I was in active addiction,
Yeah.
even when I wake up in the morning, okay, I've got to do this at 1 o'clock. I've got to be somewhere else at 5:30, and I've got to be somewhere else at 8 p.m. But I'm scheduling when I can drink in between. So, okay, I know at this 1 o'clock, this first appointment,
And
they're
that's
gonna be into
oh,
me. They're
that's
gonna be really paying attention. So I can't drink before that one because they're gonna be able to tell. The second one is kind of, oh, they cool casual. Okay, so I can have a drink before that one. The 8 o'clock one, I'm gonna have to be on my. So I would almost, I knew what spot was, what happy hour was close to this spot. Okay, so I can go by Harold's. Okay, have a drink there. Then such and such, and and anything that messes up that schedule pisses you off. You're upset. You're mad because this is what you think, or what I thought that I needed to continue to go on. And then you feel like, "Whoo, I fooled him again today." So you stop by the bar, or I did at the end of the night, to have another drink. That's my nightcap for the morning. Then in the morning, I'm praying that I'm not sick and not throwing up. And then, heaven forbid, if I have to do something like this, I already have a full face. So then there's times I'm on TV, like, from, being bloated.
puffy. Yeah.
So there were so many things, and I could even tell when my mother didn't get to see me sober. I want my father to see me sober. And when people know you, like my sister and my father, they can just look and tell. They can look and tell. They can look and tell if my eyes are red like they are now from my allergies, or if my eyes are red
Yeah.
from being tipsy.
Right. Well, I want to share something with you that just came to me
Please.
just in the last moment in what you said, because and I truly believe this with all of my heart, Ebony. Oh God,
Are you gonna make me
why do I feel like
cry?
crying? My God. The thought of what I'm getting ready to say is making me cry. Um I just want you to know that every time you see that red bird, your mom has seen you sober.
Praise God.
That is your mom, and she sees you, and she sees what you're doing. She knows how hard it is. And that is her affirming for you that she sees you, she's proud of you. And every you keep going on those walks and you keep looking for the red bird. And every time you do it, you need to stick your chest out and let her know, Mom, I you see me and I'm sober,
Thank you.
because she does.
That just gave me chills. It means the world
She's
to me. And not thank me, you tell him, thank you for allowing me to come into your house, your home, your place, and think it not robbery, and for me to share my story, that people would even care or want to hear. And I want people to know, or women to know, young girls, um,
yeah.
95% of rapes on campuses have to do with alcohol. And I want to be that voice. It's going to be here. It's going to exist. If there's a way maybe that I could be able to do it, I'm not lying, without having to suffer consequences later.
Yeah.
People think, I'm not gonna, no, I don't want Ebony to go to the bar because it's gonna tempt her. It's not like that. It doesn't tempt you from being around it. For me, I think of the consequences of, how much I had to pay a lawyer for a DUI, how much I had to pay for this and that. There's so many things. I actually added up at the peak of when I was making a lot more money than I'm making now. When I was in a really, really blessed place and I blew it. It is amazing how much a month that I spent, not just on eating out. Well, eating out comes along with it. It's just amazing. You know, when you find yourself eating out or drinking and you're
I'm not going to
and
ask you how much it. I'm not going to ask you how much it was. I'm not going to ask you how much it was, but I am going to ask you, what could you have bought with that money?
I could have probably paid my car note 3 times per month.
Ooh. Mm, mm, mm,
And don't forget, you know, and then I'm social with it too. You know what I mean? Hey, get her one. Hey, because you know you don't want to do it alone.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
No, 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 no.
Yeah. So there are times I
I'm
feel, yeah,
glad that
for
you are
sure,
on this
easily.
side of it. I'm glad you're on this side of it. I'm glad you're on this side of it. I'm glad you're able to talk about it. I'm glad you're able to share about it, and again inspire others with everything that you've been through. I think that you're blessing people just by being here, just by sharing your story,
Well,
just so that there are some people that need to go through things to learn things. Okay. And it sounds like you were one of those people.
ah, I
You had to
did.
go through some things to learn some things. There are others of us who can learn by example, who can learn by others sharing their stories and then saying, oh, that could be me. I don't want to do that. Let me turn over here. So I know that you are here, you are purposed, and you are charged with helping those of us that need to learn by your example, not mine, right? This is it, and it doesn't have to be a cautionary tale. It is an awareness.
It's an awareness.
Be more aware of how alcohol impacts you. Be more aware of how your body, your personality, everything interacts and is impacted by alcohol. I love the work that you're beginning to do and starting to talk about with colleges, in particular HBCUs, because I know that there are a lot of sexual assaults and rapes happening on those campuses. And not that we want to, because I want to highlight HBCUs for a different reason,
Sure.
obviously, but there is a lot of sweeping under the rugs that is happening on our campuses that we as a people, as black people, cannot ignore, just because we don't want that light shine on our HBCUs, because we have so much to be proud of our
Sure.
HBCUs. We need to clean that part up immediately. It has to be cleaned up immediately. So definitely continue to talk about that. Continue to talk about that, because it is very much needed. And there are so many stories of women who have been silenced at many colleges across the country, but in particular HBCUs. And we have to, that we can't tolerate it. We can't tolerate it.
Well,
Again, what we said at the beginning, women have so much
so
power,
much.
and you have so much power in your voice, and we need to use it. We need to use it.
Well,
We
I'm
need to use
here, and I just want to say on the record, Dr. Tiff, if there's anything that I can ever do for you, you let me know. And if I can't do it for you, then I'll try to help you to find a way. That's my promise. That's my promise to you.
I, you know what? And I'm going to offer the same promise. I love and appreciate you. I thank you so very much for
Sure.
being here, for sharing your story with me and with my audience. I know that people have been blessed. They've learned a lot, and they've grown a lot just within this short period of time. We've only been talking about 50 minutes, but I
I
know that they've gotten so much out of this
know.
conversation. You're welcome back here at any time.
And we thank
And I
you.
believe I want you back as soon as that book drops.
I'll be glad to.
Oh,
And while I'm
please.
talking
I want
about
you back when that book drops.
my
Yes.
sobriety, I want to thank you about on behalf of everyone. I want to thank you for continuing to enlighten us and give us knowledge about vaginas and penises and how they
Yes.
go together,
Yes.
coincide, pull
And
apart,
how they operate and how they
about the G spots, about it's a lot of guys that are
yes,
going to be happy
about the
after
G
this
spot.
episode,
Everyone knows.
knowing that they really only need 2 inches to make us
I
happy.
mean, listen. That's all you need. That's all. And but listen, don't just be showing up with 2 inches and no swinging of the hips and no thrust. Like, don't just sit there with two
Right.
inches. If you gonna come with 2 inches, honey, have a
Please
plan.
believe it.
Have a
Please
plan.
believe it. Would you say have a plan with it?
Have a whole plan. a whole plan, honey. You better plan that thing right on now. Don't just sit
You
there
had
with
two of
it.
your boys in the car. Hey man, if I text you, I might need you to come help me out.
I need some help. I need some help. Yes, Jesus. Oh my gosh. Ebony, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with us today. For more information on our guest, please take a gander at the show notes because we're going to put any information, any programs, any appearances, anything that she has, it will be there because we want to make sure you are supportive of her because she has given us the world and we want to give it right back, give that love right back to her. So please take a look at the show notes. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And that's it for us today. So without any further ado, Ebony, is there anything else you want to
No,
say?
that's it. You can follow me on all
On
social
social media?
media. You
Okay.
may have that but Real
Oh,
Ebony Steele.
I will, but go ahead and tell the
Okay,
people.
Real Ebony Steele
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram. And you can finally find me mostly with Ebony
Mm-hmm.
Steele. And that's EBONY
Mm-hmm.
STEELE. Ebony Arrington Steele on Facebook and Ebony Steele on Facebook as well. I'm all over the place.
I
I'm
love it.
even Ebony Steele on
I love it.
MySpace, but don't go there.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. Let the church say amen.
Amen.
Y'all have a good day. And thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone that's listening. Thank you, Ebony, for being our
Love you,
guest
Dr.
today.
Tiff.
We'll talk to you guys
All
later.
right.
I love you too. Ciao.